Assalamu alaikum students. I hope you people are doing good. Welcome to your physics lecture of class 9. Today we are going to discuss unit number 3, that is dynamics. Students, we will discuss its exercise and numerical problems. Now here we are going to discuss its short question answers. Question number 1 is define the following term. Number 1 is inertia, number 2 momentum, number 3 is force, number 4 is force of friction, number 5 is centripetal force. Now, first point is inertia. Students, inertia of a body is its property due to which it resists any change in states of rest or motion. Inertia is directly proportional to the mass of the body. If the mass of the body is increased, then inertia will be increased. Next point is momentum. Momentum of a body is the quantity of motion if it possesses due to its motion and velocity. The momentum that is represented by capital P of a body is given by the product of its mass and its velocity v. Thus P equals to mv. Momentum is a vector quantity and its SI unit is kilogram meter per second. Momentum of a system depends upon its masses and its velocity. Third point is force. A force moves or tends to move, stops or tends to stop the motion of a body. The force can be changed the direction of a body. The formula of force is F equals to ma. M is the mass and A is the acceleration. The SI unit of force is Newton. Students, the force can also be changed the shape or size of a body on which it acts. Next is force of friction. The force that opposes the motion of a moving object is called frictional force. Friction is a force that comes into an action as soon as body is pushed or pulled over a surfaces. Here we will discuss the factors on which the friction depends. In case of the solid, the force of friction between two bodies depends upon the many factors such as nature of that two surfaces in contact or a pressing force between them. Next is centripetal force. Centripetal force is that type of force that keeps the body to move in a circular path. The center shaking force is called a centripetal force. It keeps the body to move in a circular path. Centripetal force always acts perpendicular to the motion of the body. The formula of centripetal force is F of C equals to mv square upon r. Here m is the mass, v is the velocity and r is the radius. Next question is, what is the difference between mass and weight, action and reaction, sliding friction and rolling friction? First of all, we will discuss the mass and weight. Students, mass is a quantity of matter that contained in a body. Weight is the force with which earth attracts towards the body, its center. The mass of the body remains constant everywhere, whereas it is measured of the point from away from the center of the earth or on the surface of the center of the earth. Whereas the weight of the body is not constant quantity, but its value is different at different places. Students, mass is the scalar quantity. On the other hand, weight is the vector quantity because it is always directed towards the center of the center of the earth. Point number 4 is the SI unit of mass is kilogram and weight is measured in Newton. Mass is measured by ordinary balance and the weight is measured by spring balance. Next point is action and reaction. Students, according to Newton's third law of motion, it deals with the reaction of a body when a force acts on it. Let a body A is exert a force on a body B. The body B reacts against this force and exert a force on a body A. The force exerted by a body A on B is the action force, whereas the force exerted by a body B on A is called reaction force. All the reactions and action force acts in our different bodies. For example, action and reaction force acts on a different objects and in opposite direction. Like if a rocket pushes the gas out, the gas pushes back against the rockets. The forces on different objects like gas and the rockets respectively and it is in the opposite direction. Next point is sliding friction and rolling friction. Students, the force between the sliding objects which opposes the relative motion between them is called a sliding friction. On the other hand, rolling friction is that type of friction that is the force of friction between a rolling body and a surface over which it rolls. Rolling friction is lesser than a sliding friction. Okay students, next question is, what is the law of inertia? First of all, we want to find the inertia. Inertia of a body is its property due to which any changes in its state of rest or motion. Galileo related the inertia of a body with its mass is greater than mass of the body greater in its inertia. Inertia is directly proportional to the mass of the body. If the mass of the body is increased, then the inertia is also increased. Let us discuss some experiment of this related to the inertia. Take a glass and cover it with a piece of cardboard. Place a coin on the cardboard. Now kick the card horizontally with the jerk of your finger. The coin does not move with the cardboard due to inertia. The coin falls into the glass as the card flicks away. Next question is, why it is dangerous to travel on the roof of the bus? Because the friction force due to air acting on the upper part of the body. Person who traveling on the roof of running bus try to turns over, which is dangerous to passenger, while traveling on the lower portion remains at rest with respect to the roof of the bus due to its inertia. Next question is, why does a passenger move outward when a bus takes a sharp turn? An inward net force is required to make a turn in a circle. This inward net force required is known as a centripetal force requirements. In the absence of any net force, an object is motion, such as a passenger, continues in the motion in a straight line at a constant speed. Due to the absence of the necessary centripetal force, a passenger moves outward when a bus takes a sharp turn. Now come to the question number 6. How can you relate to the force with the change of momentum of a body? In which we will discuss the topic force and momentum. Consider a body of mass m acting that is moving with initial velocity, that is vi. Let a force acts on a body which produce an acceleration a on it. This changes the velocity of the body. Let its final velocity after a time t becomes vf. If pi and pf be the initial and momentum and the final momentum of the body related to the initial and final velocities. So we have, according to the formula of momentum, that is P equals to mv. Here, according to the initial and final velocities and momentum, we get Pi equals to mvi and Pf equals to mvf. Change in momentum is equals to final momentum minus initial momentum. So we have a relation. The rate of change in momentum is given by Pf minus Pi divided by T by putting the formula of Pf and Pi, that is mvf minus mvi upon T. By taking the m, that is the mass, common, we get Vf minus Vi upon T, that is equals to A, that is the acceleration. So as we know that F equals to ma, so by according Newton's second law of motion, we get Pf minus Pi upon T equals to F. So equation 1 is also defines force and states in Newton's second law of motion, when a force acts on a body, it produces an acceleration in the body and will be equal to the rate of the change of momentum of a body, that is the Newton's second law of motion. So we have a relation force and momentum, that is F equals to Pf minus Pi upon T. Next question number 7 is, what will be the tension in a rope that is pulled from its ends by two opposite forces having 100 Newton each? Tension in the rope and its force pulls equally of the both and the ends if no net force acting on the rope except its ends, and the rope itself being in equilibrium, the tension is the same throughout the rope, that is summation of force equals to 0. Next is, action and reaction are always equal but opposite in direction. Then how does a body moves? Action and reaction forces acts on a body are always equal and opposite. When an object is at equilibrium, when we apply external force to push or pull and twist, the equilibrium is disturbed, means now the magnitude of action, like the force provided by you, and the reaction force provided by the objects is not equal. That is why it is possible to twist, pull, move and push the object in the direction of the opposite forces. Now students, this question is also related to the Newton's third law of motion. A force pushes the cart. If the action and reaction are equal and opposite, then how does the cart move? First of all, when the horse pulls to the cart exerts an equal but opposite reaction on the forces. The action and reaction, if this was the only force is action, then the force and cart would indeed remain stationary. However, there is another force between the force and the ground. The horse hooves press down on the ground and the ground pushes back on the horse. If the reaction force of the ground is greater than the reaction force of the cart on the horse, then the horse will move forward. The cart will move forward when the force exerted on it by the horse is greater than the frictional force between the cart and the ground. Now students, question number 10 is, what is the law of conservation of momentum? The statement of law of conservation of momentum is the momentum of an isolated system of two or more than two interacting bodies remains constant. Let us explain with an example. Consider an isolated system of two spheres of masses m1 and m2. They are moving in a straight line with an initial velocity that is u1 and u2 respectively, such that u1 is greater than a u2. Sphere of the mass m1 approaches the sphere of the mass m2 as they move. Initial moment of the mass m1, that is m1 v1, and the initial moment of the mass 2, that is m2 v2. So the total initial moment of the system before collision is m1 v1 plus m2 v2. Now here case 2 is, after some time mass m1 hit mass m2 with the sum force. According to Newton's third law of motion, m2 exerts an equal and opposite reaction forces on m1. Let their velocities become v1 and v2 respectively after collision. Then the final moment of the mass m1 equals to m1 v1 and the final momentum of the mass m2, that is m2 v2. Total final momentum of the body of the system before collision equals to m1 v1 plus m2 v2. So according to Newton's law of conservation of momentum, total initial momentum of the system before collision equals to total initial momentum of the system before collision. m1 v1 plus m2 v2 equals to m1 v1 plus m2 v2. So equation 3 shows that the momentum of an isolated system before and after collision remains the same, which is the law of conservation of momentum. Law of conservation of momentum is an important law and it has vast applications. Question number 11 is, why is the law of conservation of momentum important? The law of conservation of momentum is applicable on all objects in the universe. A rocket and jet engine taking off. All of these examples are demonstrate the important law of conservation of momentum. Next question is, when a gun is fired, it recoils while. Consider a system of a gun and a bullet. Before firing the gun, both gun and bullet are at rest. So the total momentum of the system is 0 before firing. As the gun is fired, bullets shoot out the gun and acquires momentum. To conserve that momentum of the system, the gun recoils. Question number 13 is, describe two situations in which the force of friction is needed. Number 1 is, it is risky to run over wet floors with shoes that have smooth soles. Athletic shoes, special shoes that have extraordinary ground grip. Such the shoes prevent them from slipping while running fast. To stop our bicycle, we will apply brakes. The rubber pads pressed against the rims provided from friction. It is friction that stops the bicycle. Question number 14 is, how does oiling moving parts of the machine lowers friction? The friction can be reduced by lubricating the sliding friction by oiling the parts of the objects. That makes the molecular surface become easier to slide on which having the less friction. Question number 15 is, describe the ways to reduce the friction. Number 1 is, the friction can be reduced by making the sliding surface smooth. Number 2 is, the friction can be reduced by making the fast moving objects a streamlined shape like fish shape, such as cars, aeroplanes, etc. This causes the smooth flow of airline, thus minimize air resistance at a high speeds. Point number 3 is the friction can be reduced by using ball bearing or roller bearings because the rolling friction is lesser than the sliding friction. Point number 4 is the friction can be reduced by lubricating the sliding surfaces. Next question is why rolling friction is less than the sliding friction? Sliding friction is that type of friction in which a force between the sliding objects which opposes the relative motion between them is called a sliding friction, and rolling friction is that type of friction in which a force of friction between rolling bodies and a surface over which it rolls. Rolling friction is less than the sliding friction. Let us explain this. When a certain object rolls over the surface of another body, it has the contact with the surface only at a single point. As there is no relative motion between the two bodies at this point, therefore sliding friction is zero. However, practically the wheel is compressed a little temporarily at the contact point of the two surfaces under pressure. Because of that little sliding friction, rolling friction is produced. But when a body moves over the surface of another body, there is a relative motion between the two surfaces. Thus, friction has some maximum value. That is why the rolling friction is less than the sliding friction. The rolling friction is 100 times less than the sliding friction. Next question number 17 is what do you know about the following: tension in a string, limiting force of friction, braking force, skidding of vehicles, seat belts, banking of roads, ice cream separators. First of all, we will discuss tension in a string. The force exerted by a string when it is subjected to pull, it called tension in a string. Next is limiting force of friction. The maximum value of friction is known as the force limiting forces, that is F of S, depends on the normal reaction pressing force between the two surfaces in contact, that is represented by F of S equals to mu of R. Next point is braking the force. Friction between a rotating components and a stationary force is called a braking force. Number 1 is diameter of the disc, the frictional material, the size of the pad friction force. Number 4 is the force used to clamp the pads onto the disc. Number 5 is the greater the diameter of the disc, the further from the center of the wheel the braking force can be applied. Next point is skidding of a vehicle. Skids usually occurs while driving the clutch is suddenly engaged or disengaged. The brakes are applied too hard, the vehicles accelerate too quickly, or steering wheel is turned too sharply. These can create a situation where the power, either too much or too little, causes a loss of friction. So, if the brakes are applied too strongly, the wheels of the car will lock up, stop turning, and the car will skid due to a large momentum. It will lose its directional control and may cause a result in accident. Next is banking of roads. The curvature of the road must be inclined so as to control the centrifugal force of the vehicle. Banking of the road means to make the road to slide towards the center of the curvature with an angle. It is helpful because the velocity of the car is move or there is less friction between the tires and the roads, which reduce the dangers to car to move out of the circular track. Next point is cream separator. Most modern plants use a separator to control the fat contents of various products. A separator is a high-speed spinner. It acts on the same principle of centrifugal machines. The bowl spins of a very high speed, causing the heavier contents of milk to move outward in the bowl, pushing the lighter contents inward towards the spinning axis. Cream and butter fat is lighter than the other components in a milk. Therefore, skimmed milk within it's denser than the cream is collected at the outer wall of the bowl. The lighter part, like cream, is pushed towards the center, whereas it is collected through a pipe. Next question number 18 is what would happen if all the friction suddenly disappear? If there was no friction, then we could not walk. We would keep slipping. Nothing would be steady on a ground. Many things would be just sliding. and sliding. Now students, we are going to discuss the numerical problems of unit number 3, that is dynamics. First numerical problem is a force of 20 Newton moves a body with an acceleration of 2 meter per square. What is its mass? Given data is force F equals to 20 Newton, acceleration is A equals to 2 meter per second square. Mass we have to find. As we know very well, F equals to ma. By using this, we get m equals to F upon A. By putting these values, we get mass is equals to 10 kilogram. Next numerical is the weight of the body is 147 Newton. What is its mass? Take the value of g as 10 meter per second square. Given data is weight equals to W equals to 147 Newton. According to given condition, acceleration due to gravity equals to g equals to 10 meter per square. Mass we have to find. As we know that W is equals to mg, m equals to W over g. By putting the values of weight, that is 147 and g is the 10, we get 14.7 kilogram. Next numerical is how much force is needed to prevent a body of mass, that is 10 kilogram, from falling. Given data is mass equals to 50 kilogram and the acceleration, as we know that free falling body occurs acceleration due to gravity, that is 10 meter per square. Force F equals to question mark, that we will calculate it. As we know that F equals to ma according to Newton's second law of motion. So by putting the values, we get F equals to 100 Newton. So 100 Newton force is needed to prevent the mass, that is 10 kilogram, from falling. Numerical number 4 is find the acceleration produced by a force of 100 Newton in a mass of 50 kg. Given data is force, that is 100 Newton, mass is 50 kg, and here we will calculate it acceleration. According to Newton's second law of motion, F equals to ma. By rearranging this, we have A equals to F upon m. By putting the value of forces, by putting the value of force and mass, we have A equals to 2 meter per square. Yes students, next numerical is a body has a weight 20 Newton. How much force is required to move it vertically upward with an acceleration of 2 meter per square? Given data is weight equals to 20 Newton, acceleration A equals to 2 meter per square. Vertically upward force, that is also called the tension force, which we want to calculate. F net equals to T tension minus weight. F equals to ma equals to T minus weight equals to mg. By rearranging ma plus mg equals to T equals to, by taking m common from the above equation, we have m bracket a plus g. So students, mass equals to weight upon g. By putting these values, we have 20 upon 10, which is equals to 2 kilogram. So by putting these values in equation number 1, we get T equals to 2 bracket 2 plus 10, that is equals to 2 into 12, and the final result is 24 Newton. So 24 Newton tension force is required to moving upward. Next numerical problem is 3.6, that is two masses 50 kg and 48 kg are attached to the end of the string that possesses over a frictionless pulley. Find the tension in the string and acceleration in the bodies when both the masses are moving vertically. Given data is mass m1 52 kg and m2 48 kg. We will find tension and acceleration. As we know that T equals to 2 m1 m2 upon m1 plus m2 into g. By putting all of these values, we get the tension, that is 500 Newton. By this, we have already known as acceleration is equals to m1 into m2 upon m1 plus m2 into g when the body moving vertically downward. A equals to 52 minus 48 upon 52 plus 48 into 10. By calculation, we have A equals to 0.4 meter per square. Next numerical is 3.7, that is two masses, number 1 is 26 kg and the other is 24 kg, are attached to the ends of the string which passes over a frictionless pulley. 26 kg is laying over a smooth horizontal path, and the 24 kg mass is moving vertically downward. Find the tension in the string and its acceleration in the bodies. Given data is mass m1 24 kg and mass m2 26 kg. We have to find tension and acceleration when a body moving in a horizontally downward direction. So for this, its tension is T equals to m1 m2 upon m1 plus m2 into g. By putting these values, we have tension T equals to 125 Newton and the acceleration is equals to m1 upon m1 plus m2 into g. By putting the values of m1, m2 and the g, we have acceleration equals to 4.8 meter per second square. Next is how much time is required to change the 22 Newton second momentum by a force of 20 Newton. Students, as we know that change in momentum equals to Pf minus Pi, that is 22 Newton second. Force is given, that is 20 Newton, in which we will find time, that is represented by small t. As we know that according to the relationship of force and momentum, we have already studied that F equals to Pf minus Pi upon T. By putting these values in this equation, Pf minus Pi equals to 22 and F is the 20. So by dividing this, we have the time 1.1 second. Next numerical is how much is the force of friction between a wooden block of mass 5 kg and the horizontal marble floor. The coefficient of friction between wood and the marble is 0.6. Now comes to the solution. Given data is mass, that is m equals to 5 kg, coefficient of friction, that is represented by mu, and this is also given as 0.6. Force of friction, F of S, which we will calculate it. So as we know that the formula of coefficient of friction, F of S equals to mu of R, where R is the mg. By putting R equals to mg, we have F of S equals to mu m into g. By putting the value of mu, that is 0.6, and 5 is the mass and 10 is the g. So we will get F of S equals to 30 Newton. Next numerical is how much centripetal force is needed to make a body of mass, that is 0.5 kg, to move in a circle of radius 50 cm with a speed of 3 meter per second. Given data is mass, that is m equals to 0.5 kg, radius of the circle, that is 50 cm. By converting it into the meter, we have to divide 50 into 100. So by dividing this, we get 0.5 meter, that is the radius of the circle. Speed that is given, v equals to 3 meter per second, and in which we will calculate it the centripetal force, that is represented by F of c. Students, as we know that F of c equals to mv square upon r. This is the formula of centripetal force. By putting the values of mass, that is 0.5, and velocity, that is 3, in which we take its square, and the radius, that is 0.5. So by calculating this, we have centripetal force equals to 9 Newton. So students, this is all about the numericals of this unit. I hope you people are understand this numericals and question answers.